These videos were created for you to watch along. They'll teach you about client track so you know what's going on. So best of luck with all of your data. Now here's your HMIS system administrator.
In this training video, I'll be going over login and basic navigation within ClientTrack. To use ClientTrack, you'll want to open up a web browser. The latest versions of Firefox, Internet Explorer, and Chrome should all work. However, we do recommend Chrome as it seems to work a little bit smoother than the rest of them. You can also pull up ClientTrack through your mobile web browsers, either through your smartphones or your tablets. The web address you'll want to key in is www.clienttrack.net/GAHMIS. Once you key in that, you should get to a screen that looks like this. Your username is always going to be your email address. And then if this is your first time logging into ClientTrack, you should have been given a temporary password from your admin. So you'll want to go ahead and type in that temporary password here and then click sign in. Because that was just a temporary password, it will make you create a brand new password the first time you log in, and this new password must be at least 8 characters, have at least 1 capital letter, 1 number, and 1 non-letter number character. So we'll go ahead and create a brand new password here, and then we'll click change my password. You'll then see these options here. The first one is work group. These two options should be available to you. One is HMIS programs, one is street outreach. If you are trying to do work for a street outreach project, you'll definitely want to be sure that you are logged in as the street outreach work group. Everyone else would want to go logged in as the HMIS programs work group. Work groups determine what options you have available to you within the system. Organization will be the next option here. You should be able to see your organization listed here, and depending on your admin role, you might have the opportunity to select different organizations here. It is important, if you do have the option of multiple organizations, to select the one that's appropriate for the work you're going to be doing. So if you are going to go enroll a client into a specific agency, you want to be logged in as that agency. And that also goes for if you're recording case notes or services, anything to do with a specific agency. Please be sure to be logged in as that agency. Also note, depending on what agency you're logged in as, it also determines the security model of the system. And so for instance, if you were logged in as one agency or organization, you might not be able to see a client's enrollment within a different organization. So once we select the appropriate organization, we'll want to click on use these settings. And now if this is the first time you're using ClientTrack, you might not get this pop-up here because your web browser might have a pop-up blocker set up on it and actually block this screen from coming up. So if you don't see this screen and you're still stuck on this screen, I'd recommend looking up here in the top right. You'll probably see a little notification here that pop-up has been blocked, and usually there's an option to allow it, and also sometimes an option, depending on what web browser you have, an option to allow it in the future or to never block ClientTrack pop-ups. And so I definitely recommend using that option. That way going forward you won't ever have to worry about this being blocked. So this is the ClientTrack interface. I'm going to go ahead and maximize this window. The first thing you'll want to do when you first log into ClientTrack is set up what's called your security question. Setting up your security question will allow you in the future to reset your password if you were to forget it. To set up your security question, you'll click on your username, which will be in the top right hand side of the screen. You'll then click on Change Password. You'll then click on I want to update my recovery information. This area would be blank if you have not set this up, and this button would say Set. And when you click on Set, you would then type in a question and then type in an answer to that question and go ahead and click Save. Once you've done that, if you are ever on the login screen here and you forget your password, you can click the Forget Your Password link and use the Retrieve Security Question option. What that will do then is it will ask you that question that you set up, and then as long as you're able to answer that correctly, it will let you reset your password. Now that we've gone through that, we can go ahead and get on to some of the navigational features of ClientTrack. So when you first log in, you are taken to what's called the Home Workspace. And you can tell it's the Home Workspace by looking at the top left here, and you'll see Home. Workspaces kind of function like tabs, and on each tab or workspace you will have different menu options here and also different menu groups. So these would be the menu groups, and then these individual things would be the menu options. If there is an arrow on a menu option, that means you can hover over it and it will give you more options, such as these. And to change workspaces, you can click this icon here with the two arrows, and it will show you the available workspaces. And so here we have the Home Workspace, which we're on now, and this is the Client's Workspace. You'll note if we switch to the Client's Workspace, now all of these menu options change. And if this is your first time logging into ClientTrack, this might look a little different here. You might not see all these options, and that's because there's not a current client pulled up. And the reason there's a client pulled up on mine is because this is the last client I had previously pulled up. And so ClientTrack always pulls up the last client that you have pulled up in the system. So we know we can navigate the different workspaces here, and that those are what's going to control the different menu options. And the way I like to think of it is, if you are ever working with an individual client, and that's going to be everything from doing intakes to case notes to services, anything like that, you're going to want to be on the client's workspace. If you're ever doing anything that's not to do with a particular client, but maybe multiple clients at the same time, like running a report or seeing a list of multiple clients that are enrolled in your project, then the Home tab is where you would want to be. So we'll go over a few options here on the Home tab. First off, the kind of landing page when you first log in is the user dashboard. And you can also always get back to the user dashboard by clicking on user dashboard here. What this does is it has what's called the bulletin board up top here. This is where system admins can leave notes here, and so you can see we've got some links to some of the other training videos we have created, and we'll also add some other news items here. So this is always a good thing to keep an eye on. You'll also have an overview of your different projects and how many people are enrolled in them. And then you'll also see a list of any clients you have currently assigned to you. If you click on Recent, that will pull up the last 5 clients that you have pulled up. If you click on My User Configuration, or actually hover over My User Configuration, and then click on My Information, this is where you can update your name, your email, your office phone number. And it is important that this information is correct, because for instance when you submit an issue, we are able to see what phone number you have listed, and if we need to reach out to you, that's the phone number we'll call. So you definitely want to make sure that information is accurate. If you click on paused operations, you'll see any paused forms or paused workflows. This will make a little bit more sense when you get further into the training videos. Under training documentation, this contains some important documents from DCA in regards to HMIS. If you look on current enrollments, this will give you an option to select one of your projects, and it will list all of the clients that are currently enrolled in that project. Also, some of the options on the home workspace, for instance, will automatically direct you to the client workspace. For instance, these are a list of clients we know are enrolled in this project, and if I were to click on one of these icons, it's going to pull up this client's record, and it's going to automatically take me over to the client's workspace to do that. So if I click here, we'll notice this changed to client, and now in what's called our entity toolbar here, this lists the client's name and some of their information. And regardless of what we're doing on the client's workspace, whether we are doing case notes or services or have a particular form pulled up, is always going to list the client that you are currently working with right here. And if we go back to home, you'll note that this changes. This will be your actual name, and then it will list what organization you are logged in as and what work group you are logged in as. Another option of the navigation in Client Track allows you to add frequently used forms as favorites, and this will allow you to be able to access certain forms quickly. So for instance, if there is a specific report that I find myself running a lot, you'll notice there is a star icon here. If I click on Add to Favorites, and then it would allow me to rename that if I wanted to. I can set up parent folders, so basically there's submenus that these favorites are listed as. Right now I'm just going to do no parent and click Save. You'll note now Clients and Programs is listed up here. So this is a way I can now quickly access that. Same way works for the Clients workspace. If there is an assessment I do a lot and I want to be able to pull that up, then I could go ahead and go into this, click Add to Favorites, Save, and now I'm going to have this under my favorites here. You can also modify these by right-clicking, hitting Remove, and it'll take that away. Same way on the home workspace. Another feature of the menu, the side menu here, is you'll notice there is a thumbtack right here. If I were to click this, it would allow me to auto hide this menu. This is good if you have a smaller screen and really want to utilize your screen for the work you're doing here instead of these menu options. So if I click on the thumbtack, now when I click over here, it will make the menu disappear. And that will do the same thing on the Clients tab. So you'll see here we have all this space here. If I click over here, it will pull up the full menu. A few other things in closing. If you click your username on the top right here, you can change what work group you are in, as well as if you have access to different organizations, you can change that. You can also change the theme. Some people find a lighter theme easier to see, so if I were to change that and hit apply, it'll brighten it up a little bit. You can reset your password here by clicking change password, put in what you want for your new password, type it in again, and then type in your current password and click change password. That would allow you to do that. Regardless of what workspace you're on, you can use what's called the global search up here to search for forms, reports, and clients. So it's a great way to quickly pull up clients. You can type in their name, hit enter, it'll pull up any possible matches, You can click on that and it will pull up that client. And like I said, that works regardless if you're on the clients or if you're on the home tab or workspace as they call it. And when you click on that client though, then it will go ahead and take you over to the client's workspace. You can also type in partial searches here. It'll pull up anything that matches. So sometimes that'll be faster, just type in the first two letters of the first name and last name. You can also type in the client ID. Client ID numbers are listed right here. And if you were to type that into the search here, then it would go ahead and pull up the client by that ID. So that's all the basic navigational things within ClientTrack. Hopefully that filled you in on that. And as always, if you have any questions, you can always click the help button here and ask a question, report an issue, or make a suggestion.